Welcome to SAT TV's news. I am Shana Esprit, your presenter. Among the major developments, 5-day specialist tourism security training held to reduce crime in the tourism sector. Guyana police electrocuted chasing escaped prisoner. Turkey protests, riot police storm Takism Square. And in sports, Dive Dominica Harlem defeats Cicero Girls by 2-1. Details of this will follow.
Me say we just get the remedy for the pagan them. Me just get the remedy for bad mind and jealousy. Who want to see me dead? Me just get the remedy. SAC TV, Jam me say. You don't know a Javinci you watching SAC TV. Lord, is it straight triple dose.
Welcome back. Cuban Ambassador Ms. Juana Elena Ramos Rodriguez has informed SAT TV's news that a member of the Cuban 5 spy group renounced his United States citizenship at the U.S. diplomatic mission in Havana, removing the final obstacle to his permanent return to the island. There has been a well-focused campaign by Cuban officials to free the men from the time they were convicted in 2001. Ms. Renee Gonzalez was released from prison in October 2011, but was required to serve 3 years probation in the United States. However, on Friday, June 14th, U.S. District Judge Joan Leonard ruled that Mr. Gonzalez, who had already been allowed to temporarily return to Cuba for his father's funeral, could remain there if he renounced his U.S. citizenship. Ms. Rodriguez says that the 5 case is a matter that is treated delicately by Cuba and its people.
These men were incarcerated 15 years ago after undergoing an unjust trial which took place under an adverse scenario and during which serious arbitrary acts and violations to human rights were committed. I want to say that they were in the hole for 17 months. In this case, wait a terrible additional sentence, silence and media distortion. That's, I appreciate this opportunity to inform about the reality of the Cuban 5.
She believes it is necessary to respectfully request to President Obama to use his constitutional power to free their comrades.
The 5 have been 15 years in prison suffering the separation from their country and family. During such period, one of them, Gerardo Hernandez, suffered the loss of her mother and sister and couldn't be able to make a family with his wife, Adriana, who is prohibited to visit him. The Cuban people, and especially the 5 relatives, will always appreciate any action that contribute to influence the U.S. leader on taking the decision of pardon the 5.
In other stories, Public Relations Officer Mr. Geno Jacob of Dominica Solid Waste Management Corporation is urging the public to come on board to preserve Dominica, especially throughout the hurricane season. Mr. Jacob mentioned that the corporation is currently working with a member of stakeholders to achieve this aim.
The Environmental Coordinating Unit, the Ministry of Agriculture, and other stakeholders, business places, homeowners are important stakeholders, the schools, school children from kindergarten, K1 to up to 5, 6, and secondary, tertiary, college, tertiary, are very important stakeholders in changing the mindsets, changing our mind. They need to preserve our present environment. The corporation has had a number of meetings, though, with stakeholders. That first we had one with garage owners around Dominica in Rose.
The importance of the meeting, he said, was to acquaint them of the collection system that the corporation will soon implement. The oils and motor oils used in garages, if not disposed of properly, can be detrimental to the environment, he added.
Oils come from the vehicles. They also produce scrap metal, derrick vehicles. They also produce batteries, used lead-acid batteries. And lead, as we know, is a contaminant and can be a major contaminant, can cause birth defects, can also cause ills to our citizens. And this is important in we letting people know the dangers of lead in birth defects and things, because lead itself is very dangerous. We're saying to people that the corporation is purchasing lead-acid batteries, and they can take these to the corporation at the landfill, and we will purchase from them.
Mr. Jacob says there are numerous industries working with the Dominica Solid Waste Management Corporation to dispose of garbage throughout the capital. Therefore, he sees no reason why Roseau should not be spotless at all times. We should not allow vagrants to dispose our garbage in an unsanitary manner, he reiterated.
Because they can be fined. The village council chairpersons and the clerks are enforcement officers under the law of Dominica, and they can issue tickets, but to people who dispose of waste in an unsanitary manner in the environment. But again, we don't want to use the laws of Dominica as punitive, as punishment, but as deterrent, to deter people from from disposing of waste in an unsound manner. So the councils are on board first, and we continue to work with them. So we've had those 2 meetings.
Mr. Jacob reminded the Roseau residents that Dominica Solid Waste Management Corporation collects garbage on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. A fee of $30 is required for businesses who want their garbage disposed of any day of the week. Rural communities cost $11.50. And in more news, despite unfavorable weather conditions, the participants who competed in the Whitey Kubuli Trail Cross on Saturday, June 8th, described it as challenging but successful. First place winners of the Whitey Kubuli Trail Cross were Titus Durand and Hubert Doucet of the Kalinago territory, who completed the course in an intense 1 hour and 53 minutes and 15 seconds. However, Mr. Durand was declared the individual winner when he finished the course in a blistering 1 hour and 53 minutes. Jason James and Craig Graham from Laplaine came in second with an average time of 2 hours and 10 minutes. 3 women participated in the race. Deborah Charles of Delices finished first, completing the course in 3 hours and 7 minutes. Race director of the Nature Island Environment Trust, Clement Rabes, said, with the continued support from corporate sponsors and volunteers, they hope to hold the first ever regional Whitey Kubuli Trail Cross in the first quarter of 2014. Special recognition was given to the business sector, volunteer groups, the Dominica Fire Brigade, and the Dominica Cadet Corps for their services. In other news, a 5-day training which commenced at the Fortune Hotel on Monday, June 10th, is geared at training security personnel to protect the tourism industry by ensuring that visitors on the island are safe. This training session was organized by the Organization of American States in collaboration with the Ministry of Tourism and Legal Affairs and the Dominica Police Force. President of the Dominica Hotel Tourism Association, Ms. Yvonne Amos, spoke on the importance of the training.
This important training is very timely as it supports local and regional efforts to address the issues of crime, the safety and security of our destinations, which affect visitors and locals alike. This initiative follows the DHTA-led delegation to our very own Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit, where we successfully lobbied for the creation of a crisis management task force, more police presence in areas regularly visited by tourists, duty-free concessions on security surveillance equipment to the private sector, regular meetings with the Ministry of Tourism and the DDA to address security and general tourism-related concerns, among many others.
The Caribbean is the most tourism-dependent region in the world, and safety and security are vital in the industry. Ms. Amo believes the success and the failure of any tourism industry is being able to provide a safe and secure environment for visitors.
To emphasize the DHTA's position, I did a bit of research. I'm no specialist in tourism security. You guys are the specialists. I wish to share excerpts from an article written by CTO's communications specialist, Mr. Johnson John Rose, who's also Dominican. He states that in the absence of an adequate provision of official state police protection or supplementary security measures, often encouraged and supported by police forces, the tourism industry has taken various private security initiatives. These include providing private security for resort compounds and extending to a collective and more systematic form of policing entire precincts, such as neighborhood watches. It is now necessary and useful to evaluate the effectiveness of these private security arrangements and determine how existing systems can be enhanced, or whether new ones should be introduced.
Recognition was given to the establishment of the Crime Stoppers Dominica for the contribution in fighting crime in Dominica.
Developing the DHTA-led crisis management task force, encouraging the strengthening of the tourism police force, and more recently, I believe it was last month, the Ministry of Tourism that led the training, a CTO training program to develop a tourism crisis handbook supporting the urgent need to have proper procedures and protocols in place when an incident occurs, and that's just to mention a few. With regards to regional coordination and cooperation, John Rose proposes that in addition to coordination and cooperation at the national level, there is a need for extending and strengthening regional coordination and operation among all parties involved in ensuring tourism surety by combating crime and protecting both residents and visitors, as well as the destination's reputation.
She wished the participants a successful training and advised them to commit to partnering with the public sector and all relevant agencies to create a safe environment for visitors. And in more stories, Marigot resident Miss Chelsea Linton has won the Opens Women Heptathlon event of the National Association of Athletics Administration's 2013 Combined Events Championships at the Hasley Crawford Stadium in Port of Spain. Ms. Linton captured 4,453 points and has been qualified for the 2013 Pan Am Junior Championship to be held in Colombia on August 25th to the 27th. She is the first athlete to win a regional title in the combined events and has set the national record for the heptathlon in all three categories. Calibishi resident Ms. Tiana John Lewis also captured a first place position in the pentathlon under 13 girls with a total of 2,520 points. Ms. John Lewis is the current national pentathlon champion in her category and has been selected to represent Dominica at the Central American and Caribbean Age Group Championships to be held in Curacao on June 29th and 30th, 2013. Chelsea Lawrence of Woodford Hill also competed in the heptathlon under 15 girls and placed second with a total of 3,216 points. Jaquan St. Amy of Wesley competed in the pentathlon under 13 boys and placed second with a total of 2,815 points. He will also be representing Dominica at the Central American and Caribbean Age Group Championship in Curacao. Keon Burton of Concord competed in the heptathlon under 15 boys, capturing 7th place with a total of 3,551 points. The athletes were all satisfied with their accomplishments and now realize their strengths and weaknesses. In other stories, for almost 25 years, the Roseau Improvement Committee has been assisting in developing the Roseau environs through various projects and activities. In an attempt to restore the recognition of fathers in the community, the committee has decided to host a Father's Day event to be held on Sunday, June 16th at the Harlem Plaza. Mr. Norris Prevost, Parliamentary Representative for Roseau Central and the patron of the Roseau Improvement Committee, gave details of what to expect at this activity.
It is going to consist of 3 components. One, there'll be lunch. Secondly, we'll have dominoes, a small dominoes competition. And the third component is what we call the youth expression, where the youth from the greater Roseau area will be performing in various aspects of talent for the fathers.
Many local talents will be performing at the event, including Danger Band, Shanice Langford, and Joy Stout. Mr. Prevost hopes that this event will allow the fathers to connect and interact with the youth.
In the past, RIC used to focus a lot on Roseau Central, but now RIC is taking a greater view, a greater vision, and in this year's activities, we have broadened our vision to include the greater Roseau, including the Roseau Valley and Pont Michel. We also expect to have the Pont Michel Cultural Group performing with us,
Apart from hosting the Father's Day event, the RIC has collaborated with Carryman to raise awareness and to encourage fathers to take up their roles and responsibilities, not only in society but the home as well.
There is a tremendous responsibility on mothers, on women, on aunties, to really, what I call big up fathers, lift them up more, because, we men, we have our pride, and many times our pride gets hurt easily, and this is one of the things that sometimes make men a little bit more shy, because men tend to be a little bit more afraid of failure than women.
He also spoke of establishing a youth village in the Roseau area where young men in particular can take advantage of opportunities including sports and building self-confidence and self-worth. Tickets for the Father's Day event cost only $10 and can be purchased from Mr. Prevost. Contact number 275-3420. The show will begin at 1 p.m. The RIC is urging the men in Roseau to support this activity as they will benefit immensely. In more stories, a number of journalists throughout the Caribbean, including 5 Dominicans, all gathered at the Coyabo Hotel in Grenada on Tuesday, June 11th, to participate in a 2-day workshop on the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States Child Protection. This workshop, aimed at adopting guidelines for the prevention of juvenile delinquency, comprised of officials from the OECS and the United Nations Children Fund. Speaking at the opening ceremony, Director of Social and Sustainable Development Division, OECS Secretariat, Mr. Bentley Brown, stated the workshop is intended to shape the idea of a comprehensive approach on reporting matters of juvenile justice.
It is recognized that increasingly our youths are engaged in a number of crimes, and this is impacting negatively on the process of socio-economic development in our region. Some media, including ET and Global Travel News, have declared that Caribbean youths have been identified as primary perpetrators of crime in the region. They were responding to the conclusions of a recent study commissioned by the CARICOM community on the situation of youth in the Caribbean. That study revealed that youth risky behavior were wreaking serious havoc on the economies of the Caribbean. The study also found that youth were the primary perpetrators as well as the victims of crime and violence. Furthermore, and even more significant, was the conclusion that the identified youth crime had a very serious economic impact on our Caribbean societies.
A study conducted by Jad Channon, a former World Bank economist, revealed that as a result of annual crime, lost tourism revenues by CARICOM region exceed US $200,000. This equates to 7% of the region's gross domestic product. This study also indicated that if youth unemployment was reduced from 23% to 8%, the Caribbean economies as a whole would benefit from an average increase of 1% in GDP. Ms. Elizabeth Henry Greenidge, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Social Development in Grenada, emphasized the importance of this workshop as it suggests ways of aiding the future of our children and nation.
It is significant because of what is happening across the OECS when we look at our youth and the activities that they are engaged in. Mr. Brown would have pointed out various statistics that are available to us which demonstrate what is happening across our OECS countries. And therefore the need to ensure that we adopt measures that are protective and restorative when we speak about our children. The approach adopted by the Ministry of Social Development towards rehabilitation of the youth is that of restoration.
Ms. Greenish added, going forward, members of the OECS need to review technical assistance to formulate a coordinated juvenile justice reform plan, complete with monitoring and evaluation mechanism for measuring the impact of the state and non-state initiatives. Charge d'Affaires of the United States Embassy in St. George's, Grenada, Mr. Louis Gray Grishock, believes this workshop is a critical part of the Caribbean's Basin Security Initiative.
The government of the United States spends a lot of time and energy working on security issues. And when they say that, they mean just law enforcement. But I'm proud to say that the leaders of the Caribbean states and the leadership of my country in building the CBSI have truly conceived an integrated approach, an integrated citizen security concept, which I think is essential to providing real security to the Caribbean region, which we share. It's an integrated approach that combines law enforcement, judicial reform, justice sector skill building, economic programs, and social and educational components.
The juvenile justice component is a $5.8 million project over 3 years that will be implemented in all of the 6 OECS independent states. It will include capacity building, revitalization, and legal reform of the juvenile justice sector, while reaching out to the civil society and media personnel, all of which are important to understand the difference between crime and delinquency.
The media, we do have a tremendous role to play in protection of children. And I think this was recognized by the framers of the convention, who noted that the media have a role to play in protecting your right, children's right to privacy, and protecting them from harm and violence, and also seeking to build their knowledge base through age-appropriate information and also responsible information. I believe that as we look at children in need of special protection, that your role goes further than this. As far as juvenile offenders are concerned, I believe that the media have a strong advocacy role to play by seeking to highlight the need for and the importance of implementing and strengthening alternative sentencing programs for offenders.
The media plays a vital role in mobilizing communities to form rehabilitation programs for our juveniles. An ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure, she went on to say. The police are conducting investigations into the death of 55-year-old Wayne Hanson Dominic Adrian of Madrell Estate, Point Michelle, who was found dead the morning of Monday, 10th June. The discovery came about when Mr. Adrian had not been seen for 2 days by family members. Mr. Adrian housed a ferocious dog, and as a result, the family requested the assistance of the police to search the premises. The dog was shot by police, and the body of the deceased was found lying in a lifeless state on the bedroom floor in his house about 2:30 p.m. on June 10, 2013. The body was transported to the Princess Margaret Hospital, where Mr. Adrian was pronounced dead upon arrival. A coroner's inquest will be convened following a post-mortem. And in court news, Deanne Samuel Larond of Trafalgar is now on bail of $75,000 with one surety after she appeared before Magistrate Candia Carrette George on the charge of theft. Samuel, who was employed at Lindo Park Services as an administrative assistant, is accused of stealing $52,640.44. It is alleged by the police that the theft took place between the period of 2011 to 2013. She was arrested and charged on Tuesday, June 11th, and taken to court where the charge was read. The accused was represented by lawyer Bernadette Lambert in the matter. As part of her bail conditions, she is expected to report to the nearest police station every Mondays between the hours of 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. She is also expected to surrender all her travel documents to the courts. The preliminary investigation is set for September 24, 2013. This has been the local segment of the news. Coming up next, regional highlights.